Alright, today we're having a look at The Diner by KCabe1. Alright, so here we are in The Diner by KCabe1, and actually KCabe had gotten in touch with me on YouTube a while back. We'd looked at one of his and his brother's levels on episode, well, a while ago. Oh, I get ya. I see. On Roughly Fresh Season 1, Episode 44, so that's going back. And asked me to take a look at one of their newer levels, said they felt they had improved an awful lot. As far as presentation, I would say that there's a lot of improvement over the Swamp of Great Beast, which is what we looked at, where that was not really having much of a background, not really having much of decoration, although there were some good material choices in that level. At least this one here, there's a lot more visually going on, it's a lot more poppy and things are more distinct, so I definitely appreciate that. That was my fault. I gotta eat that one, that was me. It does set us back a little bit more than I kind of wish that we had been, but, well, you know, that's how you go. Checkpoint placement is and can be quite tough, you know, where do we decide is enough progress lost to warrant having a checkpoint in this spot? But, so far there's not too much of difficulty. I'm enjoying it, it's relatively smooth going through. Okay, what do I do here? Ah, it's a switch. Maybe angling the camera down just a little bit more to make that a bit more obvious that it's a switch and not just a piece of the environment would have helped, could have helped. Not saying definitely, but possibly. What happened there? Exactly. Do I gotta go back? Is that... I guess maybe I gotta go back? No. Alright, there's a bit of a direction issue going on here, so that's not gonna work, right? Wait, is this where we came? No, okay, this is new. Alright, that was a little bit weird, getting lost like that. I'm gonna have to go back through the video, and do another couple playthroughs to see if that one was on me or if that one was on the level, but I really feel like I had a good idea of where I was supposed to be heading to in that section. Ah, come back! No! No, my graham cracker. My delicious, lovely graham cracker. We have so little time, too. There's always so little time to spend with you, my lovelies. But, you know, you try to do 2 or 3 different things at the same time, and this is what happens. You completely forget that momentum is a thing. It is a thing. Should have used a little bit more air control there. Hello. Oh, was that supposed to happen? We got 15 seconds. We're probably just going to get to the top of this, and... Oh, wow, hey, the scoreboard's right there, so why don't we just push for it? Make it a little bit longer, just so we can wrap things up, and... Ah! Ah! Don't you eat me! Alright, we're going to have to go back to the hub, I guess, but we'll see you there. See yas! And we're back, and The Diner by KCabe1. And I'd say it's actually a really solid on yellow square. I had a lot of fun with it, and it is a stronger yellow square level than some that I think that we've seen recently, but there are a couple points that I do feel are bringing it down a little bit. Now, KCabe1 is actually a joint account. It's Cordell Cabe and their brother, and they got in touch with me on YouTube. So they've seen the video, we mentioned this, they've seen the old video and wanted to know if we'd take a look at some of their levels again. And I was really, really touched by that. One of my favorite things, I love getting all kinds of feedback, even negative feedback we mentioned before, it does help me a lot. But to get feedback, sometimes, you know, months or years after I've actually done an episode, say, oh, I saw this episode, and thanks, and I really, really appreciate that kind of feedback. And to hear that the creator is still creating makes me really happy as well. So I said, yeah, and I took a look at their newest level here, which is The Diner. And right off the bat, one of the things that I really, really liked about it is that, for the most part, it's visually easy to parse. There's a nice mix of materials, there's some good contrasting colors in the materials. It's generally easy to see what all the parts of this area that you're in, although there's one little bit that we're going to talk about regarding that. But for the most part, it's not bland, things aren't melding together, it's pretty easy to see what we're trying to deal with, and I always appreciate that. It's also a nice bright level. It feels like we've been playing a lot of darker colored levels recently, and so to have something nice and bright and poppy is always appreciated every now and again. I enjoyed for the most part the gameplay of the level. It's nothing that's, except for one part which we'll discuss, it's nothing that I think is really going to stress out players that have at least a medium level of platforming skills. You should be able to smoothly get through the level and enjoy yourself. It may not challenge over much, but sometimes you don't really want a level that's pushing you to the wall with challenge. It's nice, it's breezy, it's light, and it's fun. Now, as I mentioned, there are a couple of points against the level that I think should be addressed. One of the minor points, and this does go into visual presentation, is that while there are some zoom ins and zoom outs of the camera's not purely static. However, it is always straight on and flat as far as the angle of the shots. And there's two issues there. One is that it can at times make layers difficult to parse. Like, you can see the objects, but realizing, for example, that there's an object that's actually in your way, it's a little bit hard to tell. Like, is that what's stopping me? That object there, because everything looks like it's in the same layer. The other issue with having a flat camera, flat camera angle throughout the level, is it does look a little boring. There's no dynamism to the actual visual presentation of the level. So in changing camera angles periodically, it doesn't have to be all the time. We don't need to be Fellini or anything like that. But to change that camera angle a little bit every now and then, I think that it can add a little bit of flair to how we're presenting the level to people. Another minor point, I do see this come up every now and again with people working with climbable materials, that having the material on a block that's one layer deep, and sometimes that can cause you, when you're jumping from, for example, one moving block of material to another, to not actually grab onto the climbable material but end up on the block on top, and that can screw up the flow of the obstacle. And I think it's an unnecessary difficulty. It's something that I don't think creators really think about or intend when it comes up. One way to get around this is that you can always just make the climbable material, and then whatever it's attached to, here is attached to like those graham cracker material. You can make the graham cracker material, what's the word for it? I've just completely lost my mind for a moment. Intangible. That's not right. I'll put it in a pip, I promise. But you can make that immaterial, yes, and then attach the climbable material to it. Change the fine tuning in the material tweaker menu to have it come out a little bit like in layer ahead of the graham cracker material, so that it'll be just one thin layer as opposed to the full thick layer. And I think that will probably help out and will still sell the effect that you're going for. I can't believe my brain just completely shut down like that. Now, the big issue here, and what I really felt pulled the level down to a yellow square, was there's an obstacle later on in the level we didn't actually get to see, because the level is actually beefier than you kind of expect, where there are a number of blocks, and they're riding down this slope of ooze, and it's 3 layers deep. So it's from the very top layer, it's coming down to the right, then it goes down to the left, then it comes down to the right, or maybe it's the reverse. I'll have to look at it in a pip. Anyways, so the intent there is that you're going to be jumping on the blocks through the layers up to the top to actually get to where you want to be going. There's a problem here, and the problem is that the blocks are really spinny. Like really, really spinny. So it's super easy to screw up the jumps in the second layer and then in the third layer. The first layer is not so bad. Those blocks are not actually moving. And screw the jumps up again. And screw the jumps up again. And screw the jumps up again. And it's a complete stopping point for the momentum of the level. It completely kills the momentum of the level. And it quickly gets really frustrating because all of a sudden you've really got to nail these jumps just right so that the block doesn't spin out from under you, that the block is spinning, that you're jumping from the the topmost point of the block so that you can actually get on top of the next block, and that swift change in difficulty level I think will put off a number of players. Now, interestingly enough, and I don't know if this was intended, but in the third layer section behind that, there's actually a bit of climbable material. Not the climbable material that you've been using throughout the entire level, but you can use that to skip over the third section, which makes that bit a breeze. I don't know if KK1 intended that or not, but yeah, that's a thing. But it adds on a ton of time if you are not aware of like that shortcut. The first time that I played through the level was 7 minutes. The second time I played through the level was 9 minutes because I was having a lot of trouble. The third time I was playing through the level, I got it in 4.5 minutes. So there's clearly a really big difference there. One thing I wanted to mention that I really liked and I thought brought up the level an awful lot was the expansion of the level where it looks like it's going to end and you drop out and then actually there's a lot more of the level after that. I have seen that technique used, although not very much recently. I really like it when it's handled well, and I do think that it's handled well here, although that part where you're landing below the scoreboard, I think that could be a really good place to tilt the camera just a little bit to make the pathway a little bit more obvious. As mentioned in the video, I was a little bit confused about where to go because the climbable material is way off on the edge of the screen. But that was cool, and I like that technique an awful lot. But I think that does it for us this time around. I babbled a little bit, so the episode got a bit longer, and I apologize for that. But thank you so much, KK1. I really appreciate you getting in touch with me with this. And anybody who's got a level you want me to look at, please, of course, don't be a stranger. Get in touch with me. But that does it for us this go about. So from me, Risco, here in Osaka, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you. Arigato, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.